contemporary with Clovis. They're hunting big animals. They're hunting mammoths and rhinos and things like that in Europe.
For decades, history textbooks told us a neat story. Humans first arrived in North America around 13,000 years ago, crossing a frozen land bridge and hunting with distinct tools. But what if that story isn't just incomplete? It's fundamentally wrong. Deep beneath Oregon's soil, scientists uncovered artifacts older than anyone imagined, including fossilized human DNA and evidence of people thriving more than 20,000 years ago. These findings don't just tweak history, they rewrite it, forcing us to reconsider who came first, where they came from, and how human migration truly unfolded. The established origin story. For much of the 20th century, the prevailing narrative about the first humans in North America centered on a group known as the Clovis people. Named after a distinctive archaeological site in New Mexico, the Clovis culture was identified by stone tools with fluted projectile points, spear tips with a central groove designed to make them lighter and more efficient. According to the accepted timeline, these skilled hunters arrived around 13,000 years ago by crossing a land bridge from Asia into Alaska. From there, they moved south through an ice-free corridor and spread across the continent, effectively representing the earliest known human occupants in North America. This Clovis first theory became the cornerstone of American prehistoric studies and was firmly entrenched in classrooms and textbooks. It was favored not only because of tangible artifacts, but also due to a coherent migration story that fit with geological and climatic data available at the time. The theory provided a clear starting point that many archaeologists defended vigorously, often resisting any evidence that contradicted it. However, this confidence began to crack as new discoveries emerged that challenged Clovis primacy. These findings suggested that humans were present in North America thousands of years before the Clovis people appeared. The academic community found itself divided. Many researchers stuck to the familiar narrative, while others pushed for re-examination in light of compelling new data. The resistance to reconsidering the model became so pronounced that a term was coined, Clovis primacy syndrome, describing the reluctance to abandon a once-dominant viewpoint despite mounting evidence. Skepticism around establishing earlier dates has persisted because scientists developed methods that establish these dates. Scientists found problems with radiocarbon dating because contamination and calibration errors made the process unreliable. The scientific argument progressed through many years of research, which caused ongoing disputes to continue between scientists. The cultural battle between conventional methods and modern techniques determined how people understood the first human settlement of the Americas. The debate extended beyond academic circles because it affected how people understood historical events and how they viewed their national identity. The Clovis first model provided a simple explanation about human migration that many people found emotionally appealing. Scientists who challenged this theory needed to examine historical belief systems about human migration and their established methods for studying indigenous American histories. The public would not accept alternative models because they experienced opposition from the existing scientific community. The archaeological team persisted in searching for artifacts that could change the established narrative about human origins. The discovery of sites that contained artifacts and human remains predating the Clovis period generated increased research activity. The discoveries that scientists found in this research still face debate because they show that Clovis people arrived after earlier Native American groups. The discovery of this minor alteration about human migration into the New World will create new opportunities for researchers to study how humans settled in North America. The Clovis chronology experienced its first major disruption when researchers discovered evidence at Meadowcroft Rock Shelter in Pennsylvania, which proved vital for establishing human arrival periods. The evidence from this site indicated that people occupied the area much earlier than previously believed. which would change the entire history of human existence in the region. The unfolding story in Oregon soon threatened to upend everything archaeologists thought they knew, and that story would not just challenge dates, but the very idea of human migration to the Americas itself. Early sites that challenge timelines. Meadowcroft Rock Shelter is a modest site nestled along a small stream in western Pennsylvania, described by one archaeologist as a prehistoric holiday inn due to its natural shelter and proximity to water. Discovered initially by a local historian in the 1950s, it took nearly 2 decades before professionals undertook a serious excavation. When archaeologist Jim Adovasio excavated the site layer by layer, starting in the early 1970s, the results stunned the academic world. Radiocarbon dating from Meadowcroft indicated human activity dating back between 16,000 and 19,000 years before present, well beyond the traditional Clovis timeframe. These dates suggested people had survived the harsh conditions of the last ice age far earlier than previously believed. Adovasio's findings, published in a respected journal in 1980, directly challenged the orthodox view and shook the foundations of American archaeology. The reaction was swift and polarized. Many scholars dismissed the dates outright or questioned the integrity of samples, suggesting that coal or groundwater contamination could have skewed results. Others refused to confront the implications, clinging to the established narrative. Still, a growing number of researchers recognized that Meadowcroft demanded reconsideration of migration models and timelines. The discovery at Oregon's Paisley Caves completely changed the timeline because Meadowcroft only raised basic questions about human arrival times. The site Paisley Caves had become known to researchers, but their fieldwork there failed to uncover its hidden treasure, which turned out to be fossilized human feces instead of stone tools and bones. The ancient deposits contained mitochondrial DNA, which established a direct link between the ancient occupants and the present-day Native American communities. Scientists used accelerator mass spectrometry as a precise dating method to establish that these feces originated more than 14,000 years ago because they dated back to at least 1,000 years before the Clovis time period. The ancestors of today's indigenous peoples first arrived in North America much earlier than the traditional model established for their arrival time. The genetic connection proved to be unbreakable because it showed that the direct descent of existing populations experienced unbroken transmission to contemporary times. The evidence from Paisley Caves proved that Clovis hunters did not represent the first Americans because they used a single migration route, according to research evidence from the area. The research showed a more complicated pattern of human migration, which made scientists work to discover which group first settled in North America. The discovery showed how advanced technologies could uncover hidden information that nature and time had concealed. The site provided additional proof through its distant locations, which contained stone tools and animal remains that showed human activities throughout the entire last ice age. The different sites produced matching discoveries that proved Clovis culture had less importance than various other cultural groups that had existed before that time. The narrative developed through 2 different paths, which made it more complex. The first sites created valuable starting points, which scientists used to prove the Clovis first theory wrong. The research showed that North America's first inhabitants arrived much earlier than scientists had expected because they migrated from various regions, and their genetic connections to current populations were yet to be discovered. Some of the most dramatic evidence came from the rugged regions of southern Oregon, where volcanic ash sealed the secrets of a much older human presence. The Rimrock Draw Revelation. Near Riley, Oregon, Rimrock Draw Rock Shelter revealed evidence that may push back the timeline of human presence in North America. Led by archaeologist Dr. Patrick O'Grady, excavations began in 2011 and uncovered a key layer of white volcanic ash from Mount St. Helens, dated to around 15,400 to 15,600 years ago. This ash acted like a natural time marker, separating newer materials above from older discoveries below. Beneath that ash, researchers found fragments of tooth enamel from Ice Age animals, including ancient camel and bison species. These remains showed that the site preserved deposits from a very old period, far earlier than the Clovis culture once believed to represent the first Americans. But the most striking find was a stone tool made from orange chert. It had several working edges for cutting, scraping, and sawing, making it surprisingly advanced and useful. Its worn surface suggested it had been used often by a skilled hunter or gatherer. Even more surprising, the tool was found below the camel tooth fragments, meaning it could be older. Radiometric testing dated the enamel to about 21,000 to 22,000 years ago. If correct, rimrock draw becomes powerful evidence that humans reached North America much earlier than once believed. The stone tools from rimrock draw fit into what archaeologists call the Western-stemmed tradition, characterized by long blades with weak shoulders and rounded bases, which are distinctly different from Clovis points. These tools indicate a cultural lineage separate from the Clovis people, likely developed independently or derived from different migration routes. The findings positioned rimrock draw as evidence of a sophisticated, pre-Clovis human presence. Coming at a time when the Clovis first model was already faltering due to other discoveries, rimrock draw struck a heavy blow. It is suggested that humans occupied North America long before 13,000 years ago and employed different technologies and survival strategies. The site opened the door to questioning not just when, but how people arrived and lived. Even more surprising was the suggestion that rimrock draw was not the oldest site in the region, as other emerging locations hinted at human activity from even earlier periods, approaching 20,000 years ago or more. The accumulating evidence was forcing archaeology to rewrite its textbooks yet again, pushing back the timeline of human arrival by tens of thousands of years. These revelations from rimrock draw, alongside discoveries at Meadowcroft and Paisley Caves, dismantled the neat Clovis narrative and introduced a far more complex and ancient history of human migration in the Americas. The certainty of the past was gone, replaced by an exciting puzzle, demanding new answers. The evidence from Oregon was only the beginning of a growing body of discoveries challenging not just timelines, but the very routes early humans traveled when entering the continent. White Sands footprints and ancient trails. In New Mexico's White Sands National Park, a vast expanse of white gypsum dunes holds a remarkable record of Ice Age life frozen in time. Beginning in 2009, researchers discovered not just isolated marks, but a trail of 61 fossilized human footprints preserved in ancient lakebed sediments. These traces, clear enough to reveal individual toes and the arches of feet, belonged to entire groups of people, adults and children alike, walking alongside now extinct giant mammals. It was a haunting snapshot of life, more than 20,000 years ago. The first attempt to date these footprints, conducted in 2021, used radiocarbon analysis on seeds found in the same sediment layers. The results placed the tracks between 21,000 and 23,000 years old, already far older than the once standard Clovis timeline. However, skeptics questioned whether carbon from groundwater contamination could have made the seeds appear artificially old, casting doubt on the findings. 2 years later, researchers addressed these concerns by analyzing conifer pollen extracted from the same layers. Unlike seeds, pollen contains carbon from the trees themselves and is resistant to groundwater contamination, making it a more reliable dating marker. This separate analysis confirmed the initial results, anchoring the footprints securely at 21 to 23,000 years old. These converging lines of evidence significantly challenged the view of when humans first walked into the Americas. The third research study, conducted in June 2025, unveiled its findings through a Science Advances publication, which tested organic material from wetland mud and shallow lake sediments together with seeds and pollen. The three materials provided the same dating results for the period when glaciers covered the land during the last ice age, and only a few organisms were able to survive. The discovery of human footprints occurred near the discovered tracks of Columbian mammoths and giant ground sloths, which went extinct in the Americas thousands of years ago. This fossil record confirms that humans existed on Earth for a long time because it shows that early Americans inhabited Ice Age ecosystems, which scientists believe to be uninhabited. The research establishes a new timeline, which shows that humans coexisted with megafauna for at least 8 millennia before scientists previously believed. The footprints provide direct evidence of human behavior because they establish closer links to human activities than stone tools and bones, which offer only general evidence. The Clovis model faced increased challenges because White Sands unveiled new evidence that proved the existence at the site before the model's original timeline. The Southern California location presented conflicting evidence because White Sands proved early human habitation, while another site showed dates that scientists found difficult to believe. The search for the earliest Americans was uncovering a history far stranger and more complex than anyone imagined. It was a finding so extraordinary that it has remained largely ignored by mainstream archaeology, yet its implications are haunting, forcing a deeper reconsideration of human history on this continent. The surprising Cerruti Mastodon Site. During routine freeway construction in Southern California, workers uncovered something that would later challenge the accepted story of humans in the Americas. Buried beneath the ground were the remains of a mastodon, a huge elephant-like animal that lived in North America during the Ice Age. At first, it looked like a normal fossil discovery. But when paleontologists examined the bones closely, they noticed unusual spiral fractures. These breaks were important because spiral fractures usually happen when bones are still fresh, not after they have already fossilized. Some researchers argued that the mastodon bones had been broken intentionally, possibly by humans or human-like tool users trying to extract marrow. Even more intriguing, large stones were found near the bones. These cobbles did not naturally belong in the surrounding soil, so researchers suggested they may have been carried there and used as hammerstones and anvils. The most shocking part was the site's age. Uranium-thorium dating placed the bones at around 130,000 years old. That number stunned many scientists because it was far older than the widely accepted timeline for humans in the Americas. It came long before the Clovis people, and long before the commonly accepted arrival of modern humans on the continent. When the findings were published in Nature in 2017, they sparked major debate. The study suggested that some kind of hominin may have been present in North America at that time. But if true, they were probably not modern humans or Neanderthals. Their identity remains unknown, making the site even more mysterious. Many archaeologists remain skeptical. Critics argue that natural forces could have caused the bone damage, or that the evidence is not strong enough to rewrite human history. The supporters of this theory believe that ancient tool use is proven by the evidence, which includes the fractures, stones, and dating results. The Cerruti Mastodon site connects to bigger questions about human migration patterns. The main theory for decades stated that humans entered the Americas through Beringia from Siberia. The story now includes multiple routes, which scientists believe included coastal travel by boat, according to the latest evidence. Genetic studies also discover multiple waves of migration into the Americas, which supports the understanding of ancient movement as more complicated than scientists used to think. The debate continues whether the Cerruti Mastodon site proves human presence at 130,000 years ago. The importance of the site remains obvious. Scientists must re-evaluate their established beliefs while they investigate early human migration patterns, because the initial human history in the Americas remains largely unknown. The radical ages suggested by Cerruti and other sites demand we rethink how early humans might have traveled, survived, and flourished, setting the stage for a dramatic reassessment of migration histories still unfolding today. Rethinking migration origins. New discoveries and genetic evidence are changing the way scientists understand how humans first reached the Americas. For many years, the main theory was simple. Ancient people crossed the Bering Land Bridge from Siberia into North America. But today, that story looks far more complex. Instead of one single migration, evidence now points to several waves of movement, including possible coastal journeys by boat. One of the most surprising clues comes from Crete, an island in the Mediterranean. Archaeologists found stone tools there that may be between 130,000 and 700,000 years old. Since Crete has been surrounded by water for millions of years, early human ancestors like Homo erectus or Homo heidelbergensis may have needed boats to reach it. This suggests that ancient humans may have understood seafaring much earlier than once believed. Genetic research has discovered new evidence that increases the existing scientific mystery. Mitochondrial DNA research reveals D4H lineage results, which indicate northern coastal China as the original location of certain ancient groups. The researchers believe that a specific group moved along the Pacific coastline around 26,000 BC, while another group entered through Beringia approximately 15,000 years ago. The dual route theory explains the existence of matching stone tools, which scientists found in locations that stretch from coastal Asia to western North America. The discovery of identical blades and points, combined with the same flaking techniques, indicates that ancient groups practiced technology transfer between different regions while they moved across extensive territories. The Ice Age period allowed maritime migrants to reach new destinations more quickly because they could use sea routes, which provided access to productive coastal environments while they handled Ice Age challenges. The early American travelers developed from basic land movement into advanced exploration, which included both terrestrial and maritime areas. The ongoing debate continues to develop because new evidence keeps coming forward. Early American migration did not happen through a single route. Outro! The story of humanity in the Americas is far richer and older than we once thought. These discoveries challenge everything we believed about migration, technology, and survival, forcing us to rethink the origins of the first Americans. If this exploration of ancient history sparked your curiosity, hit that like button and subscribe for more captivating revelations about humanity's earliest journeys. And don't forget to watch the next video shown on the screen. It's another deep dive into a mystery that could change how we see the past.